Okay, get ready for this. What if I told you that a secret code, a code that can help you understand literally anything, is hidden inside a 500-year-old book at the heart of a campus murder mystery? So this quote comes from a novel called The Rule of Four, and it's talking about a real book, a famously weird and complex book from the Renaissance called the Hypnerotomachia Paulophili. I mean, this thing is so cryptic, it's driven scholars crazy for centuries. The novel's whole premise is that this book isn't just a puzzle, it's a key.
Whoa, hold on a second. A secret code from a novel? Are you really saying a fictional plot device has, any actual real-world value? It sounds like a great story, but a blueprint for how our brains work? That feels like a bit of a leap, don't you think?
That's actually the perfect question, because this isn't just about a storybook. We're about to show you how this rule of four maps directly onto proven cognitive science. So let's step out of the fictional library and into the real-world lab and see what the science actually has to say.
You see, cognitive science is known for a long time that our brains don't just think in one single way. We have different modes, and you can split them, broadly speaking, into two camps. Linear thinking, that's your logical A to B to C kind of thinking, and then there's global thinking. That's the more holistic, intuitive, big picture stuff.
And it gets even more specific than that. Now, I know this slide looks like it was ripped straight out of a scientific paper, because it was, but the key takeaway is super simple. A study using something called the Herman Brain Dominance Instrument found it's not just two modes, but four distinct thinking preferences. So forget just left brain versus right brain. We're talking about a whole brain model. The science actually shows a four-part structure to how we think.
Okay, 4 quadrants of the Herman model sounds a little, academic. Can we break that down? For sure. Just think of them as 4 different experts living in your head. You've got the analyst, who's all about facts and data. The organizer, who just loves a good plan. The strategist, who's always thinking 5 steps ahead. And the empath, who totally gets people. We all have all 4, we just tend to favor some over the others.
So here's where it gets really cool. We can take this 4-part framework and apply it to a super complex real-world problem. Let's try cybersecurity. Wait, you're telling me you can simplify cybersecurity, a field with literally thousands of protocols and vulnerabilities, down to just 4 things? Yeah, I'm gonna need to see this.
Believe it. Pretty much any security issue, any hack, any data breach, you can almost always trace it back to a breakdown in one of just 4 layers. The human, that's you and me. The interface, the stuff we click on. The system, all the code running in the background. And the policy, the rules governing everything. It's the same idea, we're just finding the 4 essential pillars. The real problem is that most experts only ever look at the system.
Let's put that to the test right now. You know that little padlock icon in your browser? We all see it 100 times a day. It means the connection is secure. Simple, right? But what happens when you forget about the human and the interface layers?
No way.
Are you serious? People actually got it backwards? They thought an open lock meant like unlocked and ready to go? Wow. Okay, that perfectly proves your point. The system itself can be rock solid, but if the interface confuses the human, the whole thing just falls apart. I will never look at that lock icon the same way again.
And this is exactly what happens at the other layers, right? On one side, you've got a vulnerability scan that might as well be written in an alien language. On the other, a privacy policy that's just a giant wall of legal text. It's complete cognitive overload. It's no wonder everyone just clicks agree and hopes for the best. They've totally forgotten about the human being on the other side of the screen.
Exactly. So the rule of 4 helps us spot the human weak spot in a technical system. So for our final example, let's take that same pattern and apply it to a field where getting overloaded isn't just inconvenient, it can be fatal. Outdoor survival. Right. Imagine you are deep underground in a cave, or you're trekking through some remote wilderness. In those situations, you just can't afford complexity. You need rules that are simple, crystal clear, and totally automatic.
So if you look at something like a scouting manual, you can actually boil down survival into 4 core rules. Plan your limits, basically don't be a hero. Layer your gear, so you can adapt to anything. Automate your routine, so you never forget the important stuff. And triple your light. Now these are the exact opposite of that security scan. They're clear, they're actionable, and you can actually remember them. It's the same principle, taking something really complex and finding its 4 core truths.
And that last one is so important. This isn't just a friendly tip. The source material is dead serious about it. In a cave where darkness is absolute, you don't bring 1 light and a spare. You bring 3. The whole point is redundancy, and they make it incredibly simple. 3. That's it. That's the rule. They took a huge, complex idea about risk management and redundancy and distilled it into a single, unforgettable number. It's not a 300-page policy document. It's just 3. Okay, I'm sold. This rule of 4 thing, it actually works.
And that is the absolute key. This isn't some abstract theory from a book, it's a practical tool. It's a mental model you can use to cut through all the noise and find the fundamental pieces of any subject. It's like installing new software for your brain.
So think about where we went. We started with a mystery in a novel and ended up with a powerful tool for learning. We saw how it's actually grounded in the 4 parts of our own brains. Then we saw how that exact same model can make sense of a topic as dense as cybersecurity, and even create life-saving rules for survival. It's all about finding the 4 fundamental pillars of any complex system.
So, the real question, the one we want to leave you with, is this. What's that overwhelming, complicated problem in your life? Maybe it's learning a new language, or starting a business, or just getting your finances in order. What are you going to apply the rule of 4 to first? I'm already thinking about my next big project. This is a total game changer.